Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the EUS Challenger Series number 14 Grand Finale, and it's now going to be game number 2 between Copenhagen Wolves and Avalanche. My name's Medis, and I'm joined by Pulse. How's it going, dude?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing pretty well, thank you. We saw the first game going to Avalanche, was a bit of an upset. We usually see Copenhagen Wolves come to the final game, the best of 5, then 3-0 their competition. This time, they're already 1-0 down. So this is very interesting. Yes, they've had their lineup changes, but now they seem to be back in their prime with Forgiven coming back into the lineup as they did have a sub a couple days ago. But Fresh, Elise, Annie, Nidalee have been banned. Interesting ban so far.
Yeah, I believe it was Ryles that came in for them from an NLP, of course, previously for them. So, it'd be quite interesting. We've never really seen them behind Pulse. Normally, as you say, they take a victory and they just go home with it. So, seeing them in a very different situation this time around. Bans coming through thick and fast, and the first lock-in is going to be Lee Sin for Avalanche.
Yeah, indeed. I'd like to comment a little bit about Annie and Nidalee and Vi. I mean, they're a little more unconventional when it comes to bans. Vi maybe not so much. Nidalee, though, is very interesting. Might be because someone on Avalanche is very, very competent with that Nidalee pick. We're not too sure, as Avalanche is a fairly unknown team on the Steam Metas. We haven't seen them much in the Challenger scene, even though they are a Challenger team themselves, and have done very well through the Challenger Series number 14. Annie has been banned out, of course, emerging as a very, very strong support. Lee Sin comes out, and also followed by what appears to be Caitlyn and Sona. Sona, again, emerging as one of the better supports nowadays. It seemed to be Nami and then Fresh, and then for some reason, Nami disappeared, and now it's Fresh and Sona.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. Sona works very well with Caitlyn in lane as well, as obviously the latter stages of the game when that crescendo is going to be firing on through and making everyone have that dance party. But yeah, it is quite interesting to me that Nami isn't seen as much anymore, especially as I just love playing her personally. Unlimited, going back, obviously, is playing today. Used to play a lot of Nami and if not Thresh, so not seeing these characters being picked up, quite interesting.
Yeah, so Avalanche are currently swapping through different champions, a different couple of champions I should say. Last time I saw one of the teams pick up Nasus, picked up 2 Doran's rings, which was very interesting. Doesn't have the most amazing of matchups against Vladimir. I mean, Vladimir can at least farm against Nasus, and as long as you can kind of at least outpush him and then still do damage, that really hurts Nasus. And at the moment, top lane Nasus really doesn't have that many counter picks to him, so that actually worked out very well. The 2 Doran's rings helped him sustain himself. He was forced to use his E, so we might see that again. We know that Avalanche are a fan of kind of different types of team compositions, one that do involve pushing, and was actually one of the reasons for Dignitas' downfall yesterday.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of people were saying that they ran a bit of a gimmick composition, but hey, at the end of the day, Pulse, if it works, then it works. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Do you get the victory, yes or no? And as we were saying about Nami not getting picked as much anymore, there we go. They're actually going to be locking this one in on the side of Avalanche to go alongside the Ezreal at the bot lane.
Yeah, there's no reason why Nami shouldn't be picked, especially when Fresh has been banned out, Sona's been picked up. Who's the next support you go to is going to be Nami. Usually it would have been Zyra, but with the recent nerfs coming in, so that as a support she's not going to be as viable, kind of tending towards that mage role, which she was originally designed for. Now we'll see Nami coming back into the scene, which is very strong, and she has pretty good synergy with basically all AD carries. Now seeing what Copenhagen Wolves bring into the rest of the lineup.
Well, they are potentially going to be going for an Evelynn, which would be very surprising to me, because although Amazing does play a very good Evelynn, we've mainly seen him using the likes of Elise, Lee Sin in the jungle. Obviously, Elise has been banned out for this game, so maybe one of his go-to champions afterwards, and may very well be looking for some AP damage. Could potentially signify that they want to run a double AD comp here, with potentially Renekton at top and something like a Z in the middle. Not entirely sure, only time's going to tell, but the Evelynn has just been locked in jungle.
Yeah, Evelynn was kind of a necessity because they were really lacking that AP damage. They haven't locked in the AP mid laner just yet, but having that double threat of 2 AP sources is definitely something they want to bring in. Meanwhile, Avalanche still don't really have that much AP on their field. They were kind of looking at Nasus before, also the Singe. Now they're going to be bringing that top laner out as they had those priority picks. They're hovering over Ziggs. I know you would really like to see Ziggs come into this meta as one of your favourite characters. And Singe as well, not a pick we see too often. I still feel Nasus could definitely work here. He has a very good matchup against Renekton. Renekton doesn't really have the ability to push Nasus out. Nasus just needs to sit as a turret, look at him, and then eventually the minions will come into his tower. He farms away, he's good to go. Unless they go for those tower dives. Evelynn isn't the most aggressive tower dives early. We'll see how this works out. But it will be Singe locked on in.
And it will also be Mr. Ziggs, which I'm very happy with. It's been a while since we've seen him locked in mid. In fact, I believe it was Snow the last time that we saw Ziggs being played at the top level of play. And that is going to be the final pick coming in for Copenhagen Wolves. Now, judging from their lineup, I'm assuming this is going to be their mid laner. Elise could be played in mid. Evelyn, I should say, could be played in mid. Not too often we see that happen though. Renekton, I guess, feasibly could be played in mid as well, but more than likely going to be Young Buck staple champion at top. He is known and revered and indeed feared for his Renekton play. So, last pick coming in, Paul. Still nothing on the board. What would you be edging towards here? What fits their comp?
I think many things could work here. I think Orianna would definitely work. They don't have huge ball carriers, but Evelyn could definitely be a surprise one. Kind of the same theory as like the submarine with Shen. You could definitely do the same thing with the ball. The hidden ball is the deadliest. And then you could also have Gragas coming in. Would be some nice disengage for Ziggs as well. Could also be used to disrupt a satchel charge. Might be some interesting stuff from there. Okay, Castan's been locked in. I am slightly behind because I'm spectating from stream. Castan versus Ziggs. I would not want to be in that lane.
That's pretty brutal, man. Honestly, that's really brutal for Ziggs, because Cassidy is just going to consistently come and fire off the Null Sphere, and then when you get into level 6 territory with the Rift Walk, Coutard is just going to roam, and roam frequently. We've seen Cassidy a number of times of Copenhagen Wolves Pulse, and I'm actually pretty sure that they've won every single time Coutard's played mid with Cassidy. That could prove to be incorrect, but out of the 20 or so times we've seen his Pulse, I think he's won every time with Cassidy.
It's a ballsy play, but if he's confident with it, they can definitely make it work. We're going to go into a quick delay as we get into the game with the second game of Avalanche versus Copenhagen Wolves. We'll see you very shortly. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Chaos TV's live coverage of EUS Challenger Series number 14 Grand Finals with Copenhagen Wolves and Avalanche. I am Pulse and I'm joined by Metas. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Can't wait to get into the first game that we're casting tonight. Of course, if you have just joined us, Avalanche won number 1 in terms of this best of 5. So currently resides 1-0 for them. Still a lot of games to be played though, Pulse. I would like to draw your attention though, as you are an analytical mind, to Singed's items. He's got Explore Award and a Total Biscuit of Rejuvenation. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, interesting. 3 players on this team have gone for a utility build, and I believe in the first game as well, or the game that they ran yesterday that beat Dignitas, is they went for this very high utility build. They had 2 wave clear opportunities in the form of Singed and Ziggs, and then they just pushed all over the board, and it was so rapid that it was very difficult to respond to because they didn't even need to be there to clear the waves, such as Ziggs' ultimate, and they used that to their advantage. This is something that we haven't seen a lot of, or even at all, in the amateur scene, and it's a massive curveball for at least Dignitas. We'll see how Copenhagen Wolves will deal with it. Dignitas obviously didn't respond well to it, but with everyone being on their staple champions, Kaltard, Kasten, Youngbucks, Renekton, we'll see if they can counter this one out.
That's very true. We were saying this in the break as well, that Copenhagen Wolves have a lot of extremely comfortable champions. You've seen Kaltard running Cassidy a number of times. As I say, I still believe he's undefeated on this champion in the EUS Challenger Series thus far. Plus he's got the teleport, which is something he always goes for. So certainly watch out for those ganks at bot lane when he hits around level 6. He does this time and time again, Pulse. More often than not, he picks up at least 1 kill from it.
Indeed, and we were talking during the break on how they would potentially handle the swap-ups, but in fact, Avalanche haven't done anything. We were saying that Renekton has a very good matchup against Singed. He might be able to push him out early. Cassin's going to have a horrible time versus Ziggs up until level 6. And in the bot lane, Ezreal will not have a fun time against Sona specifically, and Caitlyn's only just going to hurt even more. So we thought they might swap the bottom and the top, and then have Singed catch up later. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that. They're just going to go and roll with the punches, roll with the matchups.
Yeah, this is a particularly brutal lane for Kaltard with Kassadin because Big Goose's Ziggs has the short fuse passive. Every 12 seconds is going to be firing those in. Top lane, however, some action coming down. Singed and both Renekton flashing up pretty low, but looks like Singed is just going to back on off.
Yeah, Singed is handling himself very well, in fact, against Renekton, and the fact that he's got the Biscuit will offer at least a little bit of a buffer, so that he'll have that a little bit of extra health, bit of an extra mana, so he can clear out that wave. Plus, he has a teleport, but meanwhile, bottom, Lee Sin's looking for the gank.
He has Unlimited's already burnt the flash as well. This should be first blood falling into the hands of Avalanche. Indeed it will, and it will go onto Dan. Ignite actually popped off onto Sliver too, but should be just fine with that safeguard from Lee Sin.
Yeah, really nicely phased that he jumped in, but amazing looking for the gank in the mid lane as well.
Wow, just answering back instantly, satchel charge, smashing him away, and he will be just fine. But the amount of global presence from both of these junglers already is pretty scary to face off against.
Yeah, they really know that you need to ramp up the pressure, and even more action in the bot lane, and Forgive and take some hits.
My goodness, they don't want to relent anymore. The barriers coming down from both AD carries, flash away from Sliver, and Mover may very well be able to pick up this kill. Yes, he will, with the final auto attack courtesy of Nami. Beautiful play at bot.
Man, I can't even catch a break as Youngbucks gets aggressive onto Cinch in the top lane, but as Ghost has popped, I think he's good to go. Even so, Mess, so much pressure has been exerted, but Ignite comes down in the top lane.
And it looks like it's going to be another kill. This time Singed is going to... No, it's not actually. The last Ignite tick did not pick up that kill. I was sure that was going to be the case. And the fact that Renekton's even typed in the WTF suggests that Youngbuck felt exactly the same way. Somehow, someway, Singed has got past with the Flask there. I think Crystalline Flask came to his rescue.
Yeah, I swear there should have been more Ignite ticks, and I think Renekton thought the same thing, but Teleport will be used to go back into the top lane, and again, this is another one of those buffers that Singed can use to make sure he isn't pushed out of this lane. He's 10 CS to 23, but he isn't completely pushed out to the point where he can't come back into it. He can still trade blow for blow against Youngbucks Renekton, especially if he pushes too far, fling him into the turret, and then he's in good shape, but still going to have a tough time. In the mid lane, Kaltar's level 4 up to Big Goose's level 5, and he does have the slight CS advantage. Bit concerned that he hasn't completely pushed him out yet. Pressure has been exerted by Lee Sin on other lanes. I feel like they might have to do something before Kasten gets out of hand.
That is very true, and Evelyn's actually going to be jumping on top of Big Goose, who has no mana remaining, and the red buff as well for Amazing. Going to be doing a lot of damage. Maybe we'll actually pick up this kill, going full hog, and there's the satchel charge again in the nick of time from Big Goose. Just about had enough mana, and will manage to escape. Both junglers butting head to head right now. Countodd coming around from the side, still not level 6, flashing from Amazing, wants to pick up this kill, safeguarding back to Big Goose. Nice play from Avalanche.
Yeah, they burnt the flash. Caston wasn't level 6 yet, so he couldn't really assist. But in the top lane, kill comes down onto Youngbuck as he picks up the kill on Singed. So as we were saying before, even with those buffers, he's still not having a fun time at the top lane. Evelyn heading into the bot lane, knowing that the enemy jungler has already been pushed out of contention. This could very well be a tower dive. Level 4s all around. See if Amazing can output the damage here.
Yeah, I think the one thing holding them back, though, is that Mover and also Sliver, I should say, are pretty big right now in terms of hit points. And remember that they got a couple kills earlier on, so that's a Vampiric Scepter to Ezreal. He's pretty strong. That being said, though, getting poked down from Caitlyn, bubble coming in from Nami, they're going to return some fire on Amazing, and he's just forced to back on off. Even with the level 6, can't do anything now in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's really hurt Evelyn when it comes down to jungle timers, because the buffs would be spawning, or at least the first buffs would be spawning around 7 minutes 20, but Lisa's looking to push the issue and look for the gank in the bot lane.
Oh, and they're doing so much damage to both the AD carry. Sliver very nearly falling, but here's Lee Sin once again flash out from Forgiven to get past the Sonic Wave and Resonating Strike that would have connected on one another. Unlimited is backing on away with Evelyn joining the fray, so 6 players down at bot lane. Could very well just explode any second now. Only downside, though, from Copenhagen Wolves' perspective is that Sona is nowhere near level 6. We're not going to get any of those crescendos flying in and making plays.
Yeah, Big Goose coming down, wanting to collapse onto Evelyn. They had this place well watered, they had the pink ward, so they knew exactly what the path Evelyn was going to be taking, but they weren't quite able to reveal her in time. Evelyn's level 6, Dan is only level 5, and with the buff spawning very, very shortly, as he realized it did start with the blue buff. Okay, Q goes over the wall, Evelyn's going to know that he's there. He also used the ward on the wolves as well, seeing if they would transition into that. Smite has come down, and the ultimate from Ziggs. Can Dan follow up? He lands the Q, he goes in.
He does, and the shield comes instantly down from Amazing. Can he survive? No, he can't. That's going to be a blue buff to Dan. And on top of that, they have the smite still up. So they may very well transition onto this free dragon afterwards, Pulse. Indeed, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, so much control and so much pressure exerted by these picks already from Avalanche. Very difficult to deal with. Countodd heading in though. He's got the level 6. Level 4 though on the bot lane. Do they have enough damage to disrupt them?
Well, Big Goose is putting down some damage. Dragon will finally go down. Dan looks like he could be falling any second now. There we go, he has done so from Givens. Caitlyn going to be trying to even up the odds here. Big Goose is just running circles around as the Piltover Peacemaker will finish things off. Countodd Rift walking through the wall. Sliver has no mana remaining, so he's not going to have that Arcane Shift coming up anytime soon. Question is, does Countodd have enough damage? Answer, a resounding no, and is forced to back on away.
Meanwhile, Forgiven throws out the speculative Piltover, doesn't quite connect with Mother, as he was probably mashing Q as he only had about 5 mana left until he hit the Aqua Prison. But still, Forgiven going to translate this into a nice red buff. Not going to be too unhappy about that. Going to make it very difficult for Ezreal to do anything in that bot lane. And it's kind of interesting. Everyone is very displaced at the stage in the game meta, so we'll see what they do if they choose to back off or continue putting down the pressure even where they are right now. They could definitely do some serious damage to the bot lane. And where's Ezreal actually gone? Okay, he's traveling with Nami. I didn't see that over the mini-bat. But Dan has warded his own blue buff as they try to counter-jungle this away. And this is a very scary situation for them here, Metas. Amazing and Youngbuck in no man's land.
Yeah, they're behind enemy lines, and suddenly 3 players are coming up from the side. Anstrom's taking a lot of damage. Here comes the teleport. However, Sin should be flying down. Yes, he will. Flings actually Renekton back onto his AP carry. So Big Goose is like, thanks a lot, mate. Satchel charges away, puts down the minefield as well. Can he actually survive this one? Flash from Youngbuck. Again, Ruthless Predator comes down. It looks like Singe in the right place at the right time. Mega Inferno Bomb comes across. Lee Sin picks up that kill. Needs to be careful, because Amazing is still hiding around from the side. Looks like he's found his prey. Going to be going in for Big Goose. Will be picking up this kill, but constantly slowed down. Goes down in retaliation. And meanwhile, now Youngbuck is forced to flee for his life against AV Dan. I don't think he's got this though, Pulse. Indeed he doesn't. He will be falling too. That was a 3-4 trade. Yeah, 3 for 2, sorry.
Micro fights all over the place, and actually works out so well. It's very difficult to disrupt these teams. They have so much CC in small skirmishes and 1 versus 1s. You saw that right there. Evelyn realized she had to at least reclaim 1 kill. She could have backed off, could have helped Renekton, and that probably would have been a safe answer. But seeing Ziggs on such low health, and trying to shut him down was, to Evelyn, the better choice. It didn't work out because Minefield is amazing in tower dive situations, and as a result, they actually came out behind. So it's interesting because Copenhagen Wolves you would expect on these characters to be doing very well mechanically. It's, at the moment, honestly going even here metas, and I think in the long run that will definitely hurt Copenhagen Wolves, because what they're playing against is a utility split push and just general push composition, and if they're not winning out from the start, they're really going to feel the effects later on.
Yeah, certainly, especially if Singe starts to ramp up in items as well. He'll become an unstoppable force to be reckoned with. That being said, though, Amazing, the aforementioned Danstrom, is trying to run away from this. Should be just fine. Actually, Amazing just goes for double buffs instead. Double golems, I should say, instead. That being said, though, looking to converge on mid here, Pulse. I don't think there's any kills on the cards with Coutard having Riftwalk available, though.
Yeah, most likely. Riftwalk makes it almost impossible to gank cast him when you hit that level 6. There's generally while you'll hear players being like, well, we need to shut him down before that level 6, otherwise he's going to eventually get farm. In the bot lane, looks like they're looking to collapse though, Singe coming out of nowhere.
Putting down the glue, Crescendo on his face, however. So Anstrom has been locked into position, is still very quick. He'll be chasing after beautiful power chord though from Unlimited. With the E, the Song of Celerity, will be slowing down with the power chord. Instantly stops that onslaught.
Yep, Evelyn also coming in, looking to chime in, see if she can offer any assistance, as Singe will be recalling, and Lee Sin also heading down into the bot lane. They are converging around this area, and again, not sure if they can make anything happen, but in the mid lane, Big Goose might be the next point of Evelyn's sight as she comes around the side.
Yep, it's not looking too good for him. His flash has got 32 seconds on cooldown remaining. But, of course, that satchel charge is going to come in really good for him. Has just spotted himself, Evelyn. Satchel charge is instantly away. Do they have enough damage? The flash coming in. Meanwhile, at bot lane, though, all hell breaks loose. Two players have fallen. Mega Inferno Bomb in the middle. Coutard had the ignite as well. Will manage to survive. So, globally, that was 3 deaths. 2 on the side of Avalanche, 1 on Copenhagen Wolves, and a tower to boot as well from Renekton.
Yeah, all over the board, finally Copenhagen Wolves are making some headway. In the mid lane though, Amazing had some amazing mechanics, jumping over the minefield with Flash so that she didn't take the damage and also didn't take the slow, so she could keep up with Ziggs, and then they picked up the kill. Another tower falling in the mid lane, all these towers in quick succession. They're looking to reclaim a tower down in the bot lane. I'm not sure if Forgiven can do enough quite to clear this wave. Actually, he probably can, they just can't carry on pushing. So, 3 towers essentially for nothing, another kill, and going massively ahead. The next point they want to be going after is probably the Drake, as some action comes down in the mid lane. Not convinced that Singe can kill anyone, but he can really annoy them.
He certainly can. Maybe annoy them to death, as Dominus has just been popped off from Young Buck. Seeing the down was coming around from the side. They're going to be going hell for leather after this one. So much ham used in amongst all of this, but Renekton's actually going to pick up that kill before falling himself. So 1-for-1 trade, both top laners get the kill and also die. Dragon has 50 seconds to respawn. That's going to give both of these top laners a chance to get back in on the action.
Yeah, these deaths won't really affect the next objective, which is not too bad, but the fact that all of these outer turrets are down means that Copenhagen Wolves have so much control over the board. It means that their support of Unlimited will just be all over the board, putting down these extra wards, and you can see the defensive wards actually coming down from Avalanche, which is a very smart play. They know that they don't have the outer vision right now, so if they put down the defensive vision wards, then if they go for the aggressive wards from Copenhagen Wolves, they can immediately clear those ones out. So it's basically stalling for time until they can take their own objectives in forms of turrets.
Yep, and speaking of objectives, 10 seconds on Dragon, with Evelyn running back down again. Lots of wards in the back pocket of both Unlimited and also Mover on Nami. So they're completely prepared for this one, Pulse. The question is, who is going to strike first? Because a couple of ultimates are down. Dominus, of course, from Young Buck, and also the Insanity Potion from Singed. However, that will be up very soon. Forgiven's actually started off on this Dragon, while a couple of his compadres in mid, Coutard and Young Buck, namely, are keeping people occupied in mid. So they're actually going to try and sneak this one away. Looks like they'll be able to do so. Here comes the Mega Inferno Bomb and the Smite as well. It's not going to be enough as Evelyn will pick that up. Crescendo as well through. Dan is going to be falling. In the meanwhile, Ezreal actually takes down Evelyn, I should say, by himself, and Sona kills Lee Sin. So, interesting turn of events there, but at the end of the day, Copenhagen Wolves come out ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't awful, and it was also a calculated risk from Avalanche. They were like, okay, well, we'll go in for the potential steal. If it doesn't work out from the Ziggs Bomb and also Lee Sin Smite, okay, we'll probably still pick up the kill onto Amazing. Also force the flash from Youngbuck in the mid lane. Doesn't look like they'll be able to fling him backwards, but they'll at least take a chunk out of this turret. So they went for that, didn't pick up the Drake, but it was still a 50-50, and they didn't come out that far behind, as they still picked up Evelyn.
Yeah, Ezreal taking out Ezreal. I don't think Riot have incorporated suicide just yet in this game. Riot, please, maybe for the next patch. My bad, guys. Of course, it was Evelyn. Either way, Forgiven is actually finding himself in a 1 versus 2 at bot. He's popped off the barrier. Does he have the mechanical skill to take this down? No, he doesn't. But in doing so, he did manage to burn the barrier of Sliver. So, not a completely lost course. However, at the end of the day, AD carry Ezreal picks up another kill.
Yeah, questionable position being that far in the enemy territory, especially when they didn't really see everyone on the map. Just the fact that you have taken the outer turrets doesn't mean you can just sit in their jungle or lower bot lane and expect to be fine. So Forgiven takes a hit and hits the death chamber, and likewise Copenhagen Wolves will go to the blue buff, which is interesting considering he lost the AD carry to make an aggressive play, and that's probably what they're playing off. It's like, okay, we've lost a person, therefore I don't think you expect us to go into your jungle and take your stuff.
Yeah, it's those kind of outplays in the mind, in the kind of mentality of the game, where the mind games really come in. Cowtard Rift walking away from the coconut, from the sonic wave of Dan, and a glue coming down from Anstrom. So they're looking to siege this tower in mid-pulse, but if you have a quick look across the board, you've got Renekton and Youngbuck pushing top, and Forgiven clearing the waves of bots. They have to make some plays off this. They can't just afford to sit in mid and farm up.
It's very interesting here, Messers, because what I'm seeing from Avalanche is honestly what I expected to see from Copenhagen Wolves, clumping up, going for the pushes down mid lane, and forcing the people who are split pushing to respawn to them. That's what Avalanche are running, but it's happening in reverse. Big Goose has got to be careful here as he gets collapsed on from the side.
He does. This is not looking good, but Lee's in the right place at the right time once again. Beautiful tidal wave from Nami, knocking everybody back, forcing out the flash, but keeping players alive. Now, Anstrom is being a real nuisance. This is where Singe does shine in the middle of these kind of confrontations. That being said, though, a lot of players on his team are very low. Forgiven is pushing the bot lane, so this is a 4 versus 5, but with so many weak players in Avalanche, I'm not too sure that they can jump on top of this and really convert it into kills. Youngbuck's going back in again, trying to stop Caitlyn from taking that bottom tower. Our Avalanche, they're sending Ezreal down there. I'm not too sure how it's going to work out in mid for them, but actually Forgiven is starting to back on off.
Yeah, Forgiven had already backed on off by the time that they sent Ezreal, so I'm surprised that Avalanche didn't decide to go all in. They landed the double bubble, and that should have been enough, well, Ziggs disrupting Kaltard's recall, but they could have gone all in. They were low enough mana and didn't have the cooldowns to burn from Copenhagen Wolves that they probably could have won that fight, but it makes sense not to have gone all in regardless. Ace in the hole comes across, amazing looks to follow up, but Dan is here to just to counter-engage and make sure his friend is okay.
Yeah, he seems to have been Big Goose's big brother or his bodyguard this game, because every time Big Goose is in a sticky situation, good old Lee Sin's there to sort things out. So Dan has been on point for the majority of this game, has 4 kills and 4 assists, so definitely had a lot of influence. But his team still find themselves a few thousand gold behind, due to the fact they are 3-0 towers behind and a dragon on top of that. But that being said, when these towers start to get pushed, Pulse, that is going to be a quick influx of gold in the hands of Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche's biggest problem right now is their multiple sources of pushing isn't working out for them because they've been forced to use their Ziggs ultimates on objectives or things like sort of skirmish team fights where they're not necessarily securing kills or just clearing out the wave so that they don't lose a turret. He's not able to just send the bot lane, stop Forgiven from pushing, and at least keep that threat off the board for another 30 seconds to a minute. They're forced to keep them all themselves into a fight, which is not really what they're looking for, and Singe is too far behind to duel pretty much anyone on the team with Copenhagen Wolves, so he can't push either.
Well, again, we've got this siege situation in mid, and it's pretty interesting, Pulse, because, you know, you said in the Champion Select, you said early game as well, that Avalanche have a split pushing kind of composition with Singed, and yet it seems to me that it's kind of the flip side in this game. Copenhagen Wolves have been doing most of the split pushing. That's just a testament to how quickly they adapt and overcome any situations they're facing off against.
Yeah, it's really a matter of fighting fire with fire, but it looks like we could have initiation down the mid lane.
Youngbuck going in, Singed instantly gets popped, is not able to do anything in this team fight, and now in a 4 versus 5 they're forced to turn tail and run. Ace in the hole comes out, Super Inferno Bomb goes in as well, the Mega Inferno Bomb I should say, does do a bit of damage but nowhere near enough. Now Big Goose has no mana remaining, Crescendo comes through, lands on 3 players, they're looking to clean up here, Lee Sin's doing so much damage, but it's nowhere near enough because there's no other damage coming in from the rest of his team. His AD carry was completely zoned out in that fight, and it goes for a 3-0 trade in Copenhagen Wolves' favour.
And all that was down to Amazing flashing that bubble. Mother used his Aqua Prison to essentially split Amazing away from his team so that he couldn't go in with the rest of the engage that was heading towards them. Because their engage isn't a flash in, it's not like a Lee Sin insect backwards, it's a run up to you. But Forgiven picks up the kill in the mid lane, and now they pause the game. I don't think that was lag. He lagged and picked up the kill. Forgiven it is...
Style points.
That's literally amazing. He lagged into the tower and picked up a kill.
I don't always DC, but when I do, I get a kill. And he also buried. So
yeah.
How could you have lagged and buried? Unless, of course, he kind of got back afterwards to recover. He is going to fall down. I thought that could be the great escape. But yeah, lots of style points from Forgiven. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for him at the end.
I think that's the best DC I've ever seen in competitive play. I really wasn't diving now, I just couldn't control my champion from Forgiven.
Either that or he's just a scumbag. I'm going to go with the lag,
it could
though.
be. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a lag, because it was uncharacteristic of Forgiven to play that aggressive. Like, he is an aggressive player, but he's calculated. That's really what the feeling I get from him, and that was a big risk. Regardless, though, Dragon is back up, and Copenhagen Wolves looking to jump on top of this. They do have an Oracles from Unlimited, so they're going to clear away that ward, and make it much more difficult for Dan to steal this one out. He has landed the Q, but actually, Kautar picking up that Dragon. Must have been a couple of flutters there from Amazing who actually had Smite up and available and just didn't use it.
Yeah, it's one of those awkward situations as a jungler which no one wants to comment about afterwards, where both of the junglers miss their smites, mid laner picks it up and it's like, alright guys, well, let's go for a different objective now, don't say anything about that. And it's also awkward because it's usually your shot caller, so you don't really want to say anything to them anyway.
It's like, yeah, we'll just forget that ever happened. Nice one, Kautar. Cheers, mate. Regardless, though, top lane, again, Anstrom and Youngbuck are butting heads, but this time they have an angry Caitlyn who's looking to make amends for that previous disconnect. Ace Null comes through, but Singed is way too tanky. Now running into Amazing, though. Can they pick up this kill? Amazing's by himself right now against Anstrom. Is going to be trying to actually recall away, and we'll get away. There's a teleport. Not a recall. GG.
Yeah, and couldn't be disrupted. In the mid lane, though, Kautar taking some damage from the excessive poke from Avalanche, but it was just hilarious watching Amazing just sitting outside of the bush waiting for Singed to head out. And then, yeah, he just teleported out.
Just like, I've got TP, son. I'm getting out of here. You can't stop me. Especially as Evelyn, seeing as you have like no CC at all. It's going to disrupt my teleport. But regardless, they're going to take this opportunity to just push through mid. This tower has taken quite a bit of damage. Bubble will be landing. Here comes Lee Sin, and this is a beautiful engage, actually. The question is, do they have enough sustained damage afterwards? They've got the AD carry Forgiven down. Dan is now forced to back on away. Anstrom is getting a bit tankier, but still nowhere near tanky enough. And he falls to the hands of Kautar's Kassadin, who has now moved on to 2-1, whereas Forgiven's 5-4. Caitlyn was taken down very early. Nice engage though there, Pulse.
Yeah, that was Wombo combo coming in from Avalanche. However, it only resulted on the one kill onto Forgiven, and they wanted to go further with it. However, the counter engage from Unlimited was really, really strong with the crescendo 1, 2, 3 people, and then they were just too tanky. They essentially tanked through the Wombo combo, apart from Forgiven, who's naturally pretty squishy. But now Copenhagen Wolves, I wouldn't be surprised if they go for the engagement. Once again, Unlimited falls.
He does fall, and I don't think they've got any chance here, because Lee Sin's going back in. They pick up 2 kills. Can they get the kill on Youngbuck? He's very tanky, but he's being chased by 4 players, and he does finally fall down to the hands of Nami. Who would have seen that coming? Fish trumps crocodile. How often do you hear that one? Regardless, though, they are going to be going for the second mid tower and have weakened that down to around 3/4 hit points.
Yes, indeed, and 3 for 0 trade is a pretty good trade, plus the tower, and that was really well played in general. It was a good shot call from Avalanche to say, okay, well, they're low enough where we can engage even kind of underneath their first turret, and now it's 23 minutes into the game. We're probably going to be tanky enough just to tank straight through this, so it really shouldn't be an issue, and they just picked up an advantage after that. I think Copenhagen Wolves were lured into a false sense of security, because they tanked so much damage for the first time, and they were like, well, all their ultimates would have been tanked through anyway. They would have burnt all their ultimates. Sorry, I was just distracted by Ziggs stealing away the Golden River's ally of Dan. But they knew that all those cooldowns had been burnt, so they didn't think they would re-engage and have enough damage to take them out, even on about 75% HP.
Yeah, definitely the case. Can Snow Day Ziggs turn this snowballing couple of minutes into an avalanche pulse? That is the question. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I had to take a leaf out your book. Jelly.
Oh man, I thought it was going to come from me, but you took first blood on the puns this game.
I did. It was a terrible one, but it was worth it.
It was worth. I have to agree there. But in the mid lane, we've got a slight push from Copenhagen Wolves, and they're feeling a little bit defensive right now. They realise that Avalanche can still come out with some pretty big plays. Like, they know they have enough damage right now to deal with Copenhagen Wolves straight on 5v5 brawl fight. So this is interesting. Okay, they've reverted back to what they originally wanted at the start of the game, which was we keep Ziggs with the rest of the group so they have disengaged in the form of Satchel, and they also have the Akka Prison. Then we send Singe elsewhere, and then we have Ezreal farming as well. I'm not honestly sure what they're shooting for, because now Singe is just kind of running about the map.
Well, it's quite an interesting one because Singed is a long way behind. I mean, you look at the differential between himself and Young Bucks Renekton, 114 CS at 25 minutes. That's pretty brutal when you consider that Young Buck has 185. So Singed in these team fights, Pulse, even though he's going to be irritating, he's not quite Singed levels of irritating just yet. He has a long way to go, a long way to travel before he has the likes of maybe a Rod of Ages and whatever that Giant's Belt does actually end up turning into. Mid lane though, they're looking to put some more harassment down here. Not too sure anything's going to kick off though.
Yeah, they've rotated Singe into the mid lane, so he might be looking for the engage, but looks like Evelyn's coming from the backside. She might come in with the Agony's Embrace, and she could probably land it onto at least 3-4 people, because they're clumped up in the mid lane, and they're trying to stay as a clump so that if the team fight heads off, then they can respond quickly. I think they're quite aware that Amazing is in their own jungle, and they're making a very defensive and pretty wise play to just back on off.
I'm curious as well, while we have a bit of a lull in the action, Pulse, we've both casted Copenhagen Wolves so many times now, double digits at the very least. Have you ever seen them getting pushed back this hard before? Honestly, I don't think I have. Avalanche won game number 1, and Copenhagen Wolves seem to be kind of subsiding a tiny bit in game 2. At one point they were quite far ahead, but that like mini throw on the mid tower was so uncharacteristic of them.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that is striking to me about this game is that Copenhagen Wolves actually did pick up some advantages, and usually when Copenhagen Wolves builds up any type of momentum, even if it's just like a dragon, then they snowball so hard. They pick up everything and they're very, very fluid, and even with their new additions to their team, yes, the shot caller has changed, but they still had that about them. Their identity as a team didn't change. But their momentum is completely stymied. Like, Avalanche have just stopped them from doing everything at every turn that they've ever wanted to do. So, we're at this weird stage in the game metas where Copenhagen Wolves want to do things, like they're gonna go for Drake, but they're not as confident about it as they usually would be.
What I would say though is that Singed and Kassadin are both top, and Kassadin has the teleport available, so they could make some plays. Zigzalt comes in, Lee Sin's actually going to steal that dragon away, and they're going to manage to escape, and Amazing did actually burn his smite, so just completely outsmited there, and outsmarted I guess you could say. But the kill does come down on Singed from Kassadin in amongst all the action.
Man, this is sad times for Amazing. So many times I've seen him outsmite enemy junglers, and it's happening to him over and over again. And Youngbuck actually takes a lot of his dominance is being forced to be popped. They're looking for this engage. Dan, will he follow up? The answer is going to be a no.
Yeah, because they don't have Anstrom, so they're very aware of the fact that if Kassadin's lurking on the shadows, which indeed he was around blue buff at the time, that would have been a 4 versus 5 engage. Maybe not what they wanted to pull off. They did just get a dragon for a death, I should say, so worth it in that case. But now Kautard is trying to pick up this bottom secondary tower, top I should say, while at the same time Average is going to be pushing through mid, doing a lot of burst damage, a lot of harassment as well to Forgiven, who's going in. Insect mechanics for Forgiven is going to be knocked backwards from the Lee Sin. Ezreal's going to be picking up that kill, going to look to actually take this one down, and Limited falls as well, and then suddenly in the blink of an eye it's a 2-for-0 trade. Mega Inferno Bomb lands on Youngbuck. That's a ridiculous play from him, and Big Goose is just going huge. They're going to be picking up this tower as a result, and the inhibitor as well. Kassadin is forced to recall, but it's not going to be enough. The damage has already been done.
Oh man, that was one of the smoothest engages I've ever seen, metas. It was an insect, knocked up 3 people, knocked the Forgiven back. That was the perfect target. Then they followed up with the combo from Ziggs, and he landed the ultimate to pick up another kill. And now they're just going to translate this into another tower, and Kautard caught in the middle of the team. He's surely going to fall.
He is, and he'd already used his Rift Walk, so this is really, as I said before, I'm kind of shell-shocked because so uncharacteristic of Copenhagen Wolves. As you said, they had a 3-0 tower advantage, and they didn't jump on top of it. They didn't go for the jugular. They weren't able to close this game out. Now they find themselves at a massive disadvantage. Mid inhibitor is dead. The bottom turrets have been pushed down to inhib as well. Fair enough, their top towers stand, but for how long is the question. And now they've just picked up all that gold pulse. They've managed to go back to base here of Avalanche and picked up more items. Look at Ezreal. He's massive right now.
Yeah, Avalanche, a new team to the EUS Challenger Series, making Copenhagen Wolves honestly look like a pretty average team. And these are guys who have taken down LCS teams. We saw them take down MYM, and that was no small feat. And at the moment, they're just not in good shape. They're performing very well. There's no massive mechanical issues. Yes, they're on very staple champions, as we said before, such as Youngbucks Renekton, but it's just they're just being outplayed. And Avalanche have that type of team who can make these huge plays, and they go for the engage once again.
This could be a desperation play from Copenhagen Wolves if they go full in, but it's looking pretty good so far as Ezreal is so low, is forced to go back, I should say, with the barrier, and the Dragon's Rage came in from Lee Sin, knocking back a couple of those threats away from his AD carry, but with Ezreal flashing up red and having to go back to spawn, maybe Pulse are actually going to be going in for this Baron or baiting it out. It's a 5 versus 4 situation right now, and it doesn't look like it's a very good one for Avalanche. So yeah, they are just going to be backing on away.
Yeah, but at any moment, if a stray Lee Sin Q hits the right target, it could lead into another engage. Forgiven had to be very careful. This is 2 times now he's been hit with the Q, unlimited. Good juke from Dan. Still looking to follow up though. Wood comes out for the vision. And very precarious times for Copenhagen Wolves. They went for the engage on their terms. They even collapsed onto them, but it wasn't enough because the disengage right now from Avalanche is very difficult to deal with. And Astrum looking for this kill onto Amazing. Doesn't look like it's going to turn out. This might be another re-engage from Copenhagen Wolves. It's just going to clear the minions.
Yeah, Anstrom thought about that for a millisecond. He's like, nope, this is the wrong move. I'm taking lots of tower damage, and then we don't really know where Copenhagen Wolves are right now. So I'll just back on off. Smart play saved his life. And if Sinch died there, Pulse, I honestly feel that Copenhagen Wolves could very well have just gone for a quick Baron. Could have tried to clean up the fight and push forward their advantage. So nice play from Singed. True Shot Barrage comes through, does quite a bit of damage to Cowtard and Amazing, but not enough to keep them away. Plus the fact they've got Unlimited on Sona, can just keep spam healing back up.
Yeah, indeed. And now the fact that Sinch has picked up Rylai's means that he's a massive threat when it comes to disengaging. He just needs to run around in circles, honestly, and that's enough to stop people from... it essentially cuts off huge escape routes and follow routes for Copenhagen Wolves. In fact, they're just going to concede the top turret. This is an interesting play. I'm pretty sure under turret it can still beat Avalanche, but they're just not confident. And you can see Copenhagen Wolves just buckling.
They're giving a lot of respect to Avalanche, and so they should, because the last few team fights have been going a very one-way traffic in Avalanche's favour, and they're actually going to be hiding in this bush, like Fnatic-esque plays right now. So, can Copenhagen Wolves see which way they're going to be coming from? They're walking over a plethora of wards here. Avalanche know exactly what's happening. They're baiting out the potential Baron. Now going to be coming in from the backside. If they can get that perfect engage, this could be lights out for Copenhagen Wolves. Unlimited is being focused down right now. Crescendo through. Only lands on Singe. Forgiven has also been bubbled up there from Nami. Tidal Wave comes through. Lots of low players for Avalanche though. Seemed like they were isolating their carries from the rest of their team. Oh, it looked like a beautiful engage has backfired horribly. 4 for 0 trade. Move error is all that remains, and he's going to be getting taken out very shortly. Another bubble will land, but that's all she wrote for Movet, and that's probably just going to be the straight up Baron here, Pulse. I'm still amazed at that engage from Avalanche. It looked good, and then suddenly their AD was kind of not really doing a great deal.
Yeah, it looked like Copenhagen Wolves were caught off guard. They just didn't expect to be engaged from their own base. And that was the perfect play. They've got to be careful though. Top is pushing in. Bottom is also pushing in. That's why they've sent back Sona. She should be enough to deal with those creep waves. Easy decision to go for the Baron after that. But it was just so well played to compose themselves in a split second and said, okay, we're team fighting. Usually you premeditate the fight or you can see them coming. When you're engaged on like that from the backside, you just don't expect it. But they compose themselves so quickly, and that's something that not many teams can say for themselves.
It almost seemed like, I don't know if you'll agree with this, Pulse, but we can do a bit of theorying now that Baron's been taken and players are recalling. It seemed to me that the communication from Avalanche there went a bit awry. That half the team wanted to engage and the other half weren't sure what focus. Because Singe went hell for leather in on Sona, got popped down alongside Lee Sin, who's been their playmaker, I have to say, for a lot of part of this game. And then after that, their carries weren't really doing much. And as a result, they just crumbled into pieces. So it just seemed to me there's a bit of a lack of communication on the TeamSpeak or Ventrilo of Avalanche there.
Yeah, I think it's because Avalanche expected their engage to scatter Copenhagen Wolves, and then because they could all go for different targets, and then they got a little bit greedy because it's like, okay, we can assign this person to this person, and we can pick off more people if they start running away. But Copenhagen Wolves were like, we're still pretty good at team fighting, and in fact, one of our huge things as a team is our sheer mechanical skill and ability to team fight. That has not gone anywhere, so they turned it around and they team fought. Something that I'm not sure that Avalanche actually expected, and that led to their downfall, because they weren't expecting them to turn around and fight. And because it was a claustrophobic, small environment, they could land all those big AoE abilities, like the Crescendo, like the Force Pulse.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this game has been ebbing and flowing. No pun intended, by the way, for Nami. I genuinely didn't mean that. I realised what I just said.
Oh man, 2-0.
I know, right? It has been ebbing and flowing, though, backwards and forwards, and lots of people in chat, and I kind of agree. It's like the League of Throws right now. When one team gets ahead, they're like, better throw it. So the other team gets... It's like a seesaw. And the fulcrum this time around was Baron. That being said, they've got the Baron buff Copenhagen Wolves. Can they use it? That is the important question.
Yeah, I would argue that is the game of plays though, because not many teams would have it in them to say, let's turn around and team fight. Most teams would have done what Avalanche were expecting and just gone with the disengage and try and scatter it out. Anstrom has been disrupted though. This could be the perfect fit for Copenhagen Wolves, and they pick it on off.
Not just that, he's dead for 50 seconds, Pauls. Baron buffed up team, 5 versus 4 without Singed. He didn't even use his Ghost or his Insanity Potion, there was no need to, he was dead. So this is really bad times. They're going to be waiting for the creep wave, and then try and make some plays into that tower potentially. Still got Crescendo.
Yeah, they could deal a very nasty blow off the back of that and at least poke them down. They have a good sieging team, something we haven't really seen come into it. And Flash Crescendo comes in.
That was absolutely beautiful from Unlimited. Instantly popped the Nami, and the Amazing actually just forced the Zoni's Hourglass as the Cavalry comes in. Dan is going to be falling. He's been so tanky, so big throughout this game, but now he's starting to get crushed from the likes of Kauton and also the AD carry of Forgiven, so they get the couple picks. Sona's gone down courtesy of Ziggs. Not going to be a great big pain in the backside, considering Crescendo's already been used, but that Mega Inferno damage was ridiculous, knocking 3 players down to red. Very nearly getting the triple, and now here comes Anstrom. He's got to teleport, the Ghost, and the Insanity Potion. He's picked up 1 kill, actually threw back Amazing. I think he was expecting to pick up that kill in return, but actually didn't.
Oh man, MVP Caster Minion picks up the kill onto Ziggs. Not sure if he caught that at the end. That would have been very nice to have kept Ziggs alive. It would have been a lot of split push and ability to keep the waves at bay, because now they're pushing in. Amazing backing off. See if Anstrom checks the right brushes. Ah, he's gone for the wrong one.
I did see that minion. Definitely MVP this game.
MVP Caster Minion.
So strong. Much wow. Regardless, we are into the game. 60.3 to 53.9, so there is a fairly big advantage for Copenhagen Wolves, plus that Baron buff. Sliver, I do not like your chances of getting out here. You're slippery, you're Ezreal, you've got your arcane shifts, but here's a Forgiven and a Kautar chasing you down. Goodbye. It's going to be Cassidy and
Super Mario.
free kill.
Yeah, he's out of there. So another pick comes in for Copenhagen Wolves, and this is not good for Avalanche. This is the second time they've had someone picked off. Last time it cost them an inhibitor. However, the Copenhagen Wolves, it depends how fast they mobilize in 43 seconds. It's a lot of time to maneuver about. Not sure if they want to group up just yet, because they're doing a pretty good job of just kind of split pushing all over the place. Next one's coming back in, but a second pick would be amazing.
Oh my god, Anstrom is going to be falling to the ace in the hole. Second consecutive time that he has been caught out of position. And we were talking before about how Copenhagen Wolves were kind of crumbling. I would have to say now the shoe is on the other foot here, Pulse. It seems that Avalanche are just, they're breaking to pieces.
Yeah, that was a massive morale boost after that win near Baron, and then the transition into Baron, then the pick onto Singe and the inhibitor. It's classic Copenhagen Wolves. It's win a team fight and saying that we can win any team fight that happens from here on out. And that's very scary for Avalanche, and they weren't far enough ahead where they could utilize the standard composition of Sin split pushing, then split pushing all over the board, use Zig to clear out the waves with Mega Inferno Bomb. That's not something they could fall back on. And then, what's their counterplay? There really isn't any from a strong team fighting team like Copenhagen Wolves. That's basically anathema to what they're trying to run here.
I have to say as well that this kind of shows a bit of the weaknesses in Lee Sin. Like, Dan has played such a good game, 5, 5, and 10, but early he was so prevalent in all team fights. We saw a couple of beautiful mechanics that he was doing to knock Forgiven in precarious positions, but now it's getting to the point where Kassadin and Forgiven are reaching boiling point on damage. He just can't do anything anymore, Pulse. As soon as he gets close to one of the carries, he's dead. He's getting burst down in a heartbeat, and if Lee Sin's falling, Singed is nowhere near tanky enough. He's 1-9 with 150 CS at 38.5 minutes. If Dan falls, it's pretty much lights out for Avalanche. They have no one else to pick up the pieces.
It's interesting, there's a lot of discussion in chat right now about Anstrom's Singe, and honestly he's performing what he needs to perform. The fact that he's 1-9 honestly isn't hurting them that much. If anything, it's benefiting them, because he's not a massive threat in terms of if they take him out, he's not going to be offering a lot of gold, but at the same time he is still a threat because he's disengaged for their team and he's utility. And it looks like Zig's going to pick up the kill into Unlimited. Mega Thermo Bomb's going to pick this one up.
Wow, his aim is so good. That's the second or third time we've seen Ziggs landing a pretty sweet ult right there to claim the kill. Now that Unlimited did not burn Crescendo and is dead for 40 seconds, maybe this is the moment where Avalanche will force back the terrifying side of Copenhagen Wolves. Glue comes down from Singed, but even in this 4 versus 5, you can see the respect now from Avalanche. Like, we really don't want to engage here because they are way stronger than us.
Yeah, I think the thing that is very disruptive about their composition and something that people aren't used to seeing is that it's a very different type of composition. It's a utility comp over straight up team fighting, and then whoever has the most kills or whoever has the most objectives wins the game. It's very much we'll play around what the general type of play is, the general sort of meta, which is go for those team fights, go for objectives. It's something that is somewhat counterintuitive, but is also something that people aren't used to playing against, which is exactly why Dignitas couldn't deal with it yesterday.
Well, as we're speaking, that is going to be another Baron to Copenhagen Wolves, as if they needed any extra advantages right now, as they find themselves just over 8,000 gold ahead. Now going to be pushing down with Baron. Top and mid inhibs are dead. Going to be coming up relatively shortly, however, so I would expect the Copenhagen Wolves just going to go down bot here, Pulse, and look to push home that third inhib, and make it really terrifying for Avalanche to deal with.
Yeah, indeed. Regardless of how much utility they have, it's not going to matter if you have 2 inhibitors down, and then you have Copenhagen Wolves killing your AD carry.
Oh, barrier has been used, so even though they don't get the kill, they know now Ezreal is pretty weak. It's going to have to go back to spawn, and in doing so, is leaving this tower very vulnerable. Will they engage though? Super bomb comes through, Mega Inferno Bomb I should say, from Ziggs. Does do a bit of damage, but the tower has already been picked up. Now Young Buck is going ham, he's taking on 3 players by his lonesome. Crescendo comes through, actually misses everybody there I believe. So somewhat of a whiff, but the damage has already been done. Ace in the hole comes through, that's going to open up this third inhib, which will be falling. Top is dead, and now middle will join its friends. So yeah, looking like it could be the final curtain coming down for Avalanche. I can't see them holding off Copenhagen Wolves and terrifying super minions.
Yeah, the floodgates have opened and the minions are swarming in, but they've gone for the last engage.
Oh, that's a beautiful combination, but it's really too little too late because it just Lee Sin in the middle of everybody. So yes, they get the Dragon's Rage into bubble, but look at how much damage they're doing right now. Lots of players flashing up red, but Forgiven is by and large fairly healthy. He's going to be taking down that second Nexus tower. Looks like it's going to be going into the 1-1 scoreline, into that third game of this best of 5 as Ziggs picks up a long-range missile onto Evelyn and will be picking up that kill. However, Ezreal goes down. GG well played. 1-1 is the scoreline.
Yes, indeed, and very consistent performance from both of these teams. Avalanche, even though they lost this game, were honestly winning it for the, well, at least the first half of this game, and it went on to 41 minutes. Honestly, not something we see a lot from Copenhagen Wolves, and not something that a lot of teams can say for themselves. They can't say, we've faced down Copenhagen Wolves and gone to a late game game overall. It's just a massive achievement, plus it's 1-1, everything to play for. We might even see a 5th game tonight.
We definitely, certainly could, because it's been a while since I've seen Copenhagen Wolves rock like this. To put it into perspective for those of you who haven't seen the previous EUS Challenger Series, Copenhagen Wolves are the reigning defending